Hey guys, it's your buddy NJ here, back building another subway station. Last time we built a station in a more rural style at the request of a friend who wanted to fit it into a small town. And I have something really special in store for you guys today, and I've actually done a little bit of the prep work already, so let's go ahead and walk down this tunnel. Alright. And as you can see here, we have a room of a decent size, decent length, and the bat is already flying around in it. Okay, well, what makes today's station special is that we're actually going to be building a center platform station. So you guys have heard me mention this before. If we were to run back over here to our last station, you can see that the tracks are running down the middle and the platforms are on either side. And with our previous station before that, you'll notice we had to build a pedestrian overpass so that people could get from one side of the station to the other without crossing the tracks. Now, what makes side platform stations special is that none of that is required because the rails go on either side of the main platform. Now, this is a station design that is seen in the real world as the side platform is seen in the real world. I don't know if it's quite as common. It may be. I'm not really an expert on those things, but let's go ahead and lengthen these tunnels just a little bit so that we kind of have an idea of where those rails are going to come into our station. And let's go ahead and pick out a material for our track bed. So I think last time we used gravel, the time before we used gray clay. Let's go ahead and go with the gray clay again because I like the way that one turned out. Actually, let's go with a light gray clay today, see how that looks. Yeah. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take out this bottom block and I'm going to replace it with light gray clay. Alright, done there. And let's go ahead and do that same thing on the other side. Okay, so we have our track bed. We can go ahead and lay some rails on it. Once again, we just want to be able to visualize what we're doing. And for me personally, this helps out a lot. So let's go ahead and lay that track. Okay, well, now that we've laid that track, we can go ahead and start on the station. You guys know I tend to build in a certain order, so let's go ahead and lay our, well, actually, let's save that for a little bit later today. Let's go ahead and do the walls. So we're going to take out one block. And I don't know if these bats spawn more when there's no light or something. It makes sense, most mobs do that. So let's just go ahead and spam some sea lanterns. Maybe it'll get these guys out of here for a bit, or at least prevent new ones from spawning. And we can go right back to digging out our wall to a depth of 1. And once again, I have no idea how this is going to turn out. None of this is planned. We're just kind of building as we go, and we're going to see how it turns out at the end. It could be terrible. And we're going to do that same thing with the other side here. Dig, 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 dig. Whoops. And once again. So some of you guys might be wondering, why am I so interested in building these subway stations? You know, a lot of people build houses, people build sports arenas, people build all kinds of things. You know, why subway stations? Well, I I just find them interesting. You know, when I was a kid, we played a whole lot of SimCity, and so transportation and things like that just kind of, you know, they were interesting to me. And I think that translated over into Minecraft. One of the first things I built when I first joined the server was a rail station. So, alright, well, we have the area cleared out where our wall is going to go. And I'm trying to decide on what materials we want to use here. Why don't we go with... Let's go with netherrack. Well, actually nether brick. Now, I did not think I was going to use this material when we started, so we're going to see how this turns out, because this is not in my plan, but I didn't want to use quartz again. We used quartz on the first station we built, and it's time to switch it up, do something a little bit different. So netherrack, kind of a darker station design, might be an interesting change, so we're going to go with that. Now I'm laying this to a build height of about 2 blocks, and I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Honestly, it doesn't really matter what height you build it to, just go ahead and build it. And then let's go ahead and do the same thing at the top. And we're just going to bring this netherrack down until there's a 1 block gap between it and the lower layer of nether brick. I said netherrack. Ooh, I can't click today, guys. Let's just try and slide in here, see if that helps a little bit. Okay, same thing on the other side. And we're almost done here. One more row of nether brick. And it looks like we missed a spot over there on the other side. We'll go patch that up really quick. Now, some of you guys might have fairly large worlds. And one of the things that I like to do in order to differentiate a station, kind of make it look unique and different, is I like to even if I reuse the same design for multiple stations, I like to put a color band in the wall just to designate what line it's on. So, you know, we might have the blue line, the green line, the red line. You can use wool for this. Wool works fantastic. If I was to do the blue line right now, I would probably use lapis. So let's go ahead and make the blue line. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to lay a row of lapis along the entire length in that one block gap that we left. Remember, that was 2 blocks off of the floor and a little bit further off of the ceiling, I think. 3 blocks. And once again, we've got tons of visitors in here. If you guys know a way to get rid of bats using a command or something, I would be interested in hearing about that. You know, I don't like the way this looks. Let's go ahead and tear this out and try a different material. Let's go with something new. Let's try these bone blocks that they added recently. They've got kind of this interesting ivory color. Yeah, I actually like that a lot better. This blue is just, I don't know, because the color of the station is already, you know, a little bold and not really your traditional color palette for a project like this. You know, with blue just kind of, I don't know, everything was too lively. So we're gonna go ahead and skip out on the lapis for now, and we're gonna use bone blocks instead. Alright, so we have 2 walls pretty much complete with a line down the middle. And like I said, you could use colors to designate your stations, or you can use materials. So I guess this is the bone line. And our next step will be creating the station platform itself. So let's go ahead and lay the edge for the passengers here, and maybe if we did, no, I don't like it. Let's go ahead and lay it sideways, just like we did the stripe in the wall. We're just going to take that bone block and lay it down to create a platform edge so that people know not to walk out in front of trains, which should be fairly obvious in and of itself. Now, what I really like about these bone blocks is that even though they are colored very similar to, let's say, quartz or snow, they do have a little bit more of an ivory color to them, and they do have a very interesting texture. You'll notice that it's not a completely white block. It's got kind of a grain to it almost, and the edges are darker in the middle and lighter on the outside. This makes it really useful for kind of some fine detail texturing work, you know, things like that. So we are going to go ahead and take these lanterns out. I hope it doesn't spawn us a bunch of bats. Okay, so we're going to have to do the floor in the main part of the station here. Good material for that. Let's go with quartz. So we're going to use quartz slabs. You can use quartz blocks. Using slabs saves you materials. In creative, doesn't really matter that much, but if you're playing in a survival world, playing on a server where material counts matter, you're going to want to use as little as you can while still making it look good. So we're just going to take out this middle area here, and once again, this station is going to be different than the others we built in that the rails are running down the sides rather than the middle. Now you'll notice I did dig a tunnel into the middle, but that's just so that we had a place to start building. We're actually going to be patching that up and turning it into something else. So, and actually I changed my mind. We're going to use stone slabs here. We're going to use stone brick slabs here. And let's see how it looks first really quick. No. No, I don't like it. Let's go ahead and use netherrack slabs. I didn't want to do this. Generally, it's a bad idea to make your flooring out of the same material as your walls. It just it looks too monotonous. But I think in this situation, it's going to be okay, especially since we have that, I guess, strong, bold border of the bone block. Now, if you've never made a bone block before, it's relatively easy. Most of you guys already know that you can just take bones, put them on a crafting grid, and what they'll break down into is bone meal, and you can actually just combine that bone meal to make these bone blocks. Now, that's an awful lot of bones. If you're going to build something like this in survival, you're probably going to have to build a skeleton grinder. I'm sure there's a ton of videos about that on YouTube already, so I'm not going to bother explaining it. But, however you obtain the bone meal you use for this, all you got to do is break it down from the bones, recombine it, and you're good. So, okay, we have our basic station design here. Now, as far as the ceiling goes, we're going to go ahead and this ceiling is probably going to be a little bit lower than some of the other stations we've built. So I pre-counted this room. We're centered on a single block here. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab ourselves some, let's go with quartz. Now the reason I'm using quartz instead of more bone blocks is that the bone blocks are textured for a particular direction. They're going to look weird in the way that we're planning on using these. So we're going to run a single row right down the middle of the station from one end all the way down to the other. And then we're going to do the same thing right up against the walls here. So and we'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so we have 3 rows of quartz blocks. Now we're going to lay another row up against the wall here, and now what we're going to do is we're going to divide this up into little 3 by 3 squares. Now if you were to have a larger station, this is actually the same method you'd use to make a DC Metro style waffle ceiling. Now it's probably not going to look like that in this station just because we only have one line and it's a little bit narrower, but you could use this, and if you're going to do that, I would recommend using quartz and quartz slabs. The relief itself is what's going to create the I guess it's what's going to allow you to see the shadow. It's going to create a shadow, and you're going to see the texture in the ceiling despite it being made out of the same material. But for the purposes of this station, since we've already used a lot of netherrack, we're going to go ahead and fill up these little pockets on the ceiling with nether brick slabs. Now you might be inclined to place a lantern or something in the middle. You could do that. I think it kind of detracts from the pattern a little bit. We're actually going to put our lighting directly on the station platform today, more than likely. But you can use any of the previous lighting techniques that we used. And we've got 2 more rows to go here. Okay, now we're actually just going to cut off the station right here. It's going to be easier than digging it out a little bit further. It is going to make the station a little shorter, but I think this one was longer than the other ones we did to begin with. So we have our station ceiling going on here. Now, you know, it's already coming together as a station, but as you can see, it is completely dark in here. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to decorate the center of the station. So this is going to involve some counting, and it's going to look different in pretty much, you know, every build. So I don't have a set way of doing this. We're going to go with some, let's grab some materials to do the lighting here. Alright, so what do we need? Let's grab some quartz stairs, not for the lighting, but related. We're going to grab some signs. We're going to grab some glowstone. And we're going to grab some trapdoors. And that should be pretty much what we need to make this work. Oh! We're also going to want some nether brick fence. So let's go ahead and start with a nether brick fence lamppost. So starting from, and that's actually just a little bit closer to the side of the station than I wanted to be. This is going to be the side of the station wall. So let's count in by 1, 2, 3, and then we'll place our nether brick lamppost, and we're going to build it up to a height of 2, and then we're going to place a glowstone block on it. Same thing here, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to place our nether brick lamppost on that 4th block, and we're going to put glowstone on top of it. Now the glowstone actually does look a little bit funky here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put trapdoors all around the outside, and we're going to plop a piece on top. So, and we'll go ahead and do the same thing with the other one. You didn't used to be able to do this. Actually, nowadays, if I was to remove the glowstone on the inside, the trapdoors would actually remain there. Minecraft has made some changes. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, but I actually do really like the way that these behave now. So we're actually going to make some benches. So we're going to use 2 quartz slabs, and we're just going to use the signs again to make the armrests. Let's do the same thing over here, but since that bench is facing that way, we'll make the bench on this side face this way. And since we separated the bench and the lamppost by 1 block, we'll do the same thing there. Same thing there, and drop our glowstone. Now, you could use several different lighting schemes for this. I've decided to go with this one because, you know, it's something that we haven't explored yet, and we're just about ready to move on to the next step here. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here for now, but join us in part 2 and we'll keep detailing this station.